Lawmakers are getting closer to banning 3D printers, plus this week's print fail, holographic resin, MakerWorld getting sued by Labubu, and someone printed Peak on an X1C. Hi, I'm STL Denise, and this is all the news that's fit to 3D print. The clash between lawmakers and 3D printing is heating up here in the US. Now, before I get into this, I know that at least half of you are watching this from somewhere not here. Don't dismiss the story as a bunch of crazy gun toting cowboys getting upset over their toys being taken away. Remember, California has almost 40 million people and is currently the fourth or fifth largest economy on the planet. With a GDP of over 4.1 trillion, California's economy is bigger than the UK or France and is neck and neck with India. California has the power to set the bar, and a lot of times companies find it just easier to make their products California compliant for everyone rather than lose access to that market. With that in mind, here's the latest on 3D printed gun bans. Washington State's HB 2320 officially passed the legislature on March 11th and is headed to the governor's desk right now. This bill makes it a crime to distribute files for 3D printed guns and parts, and more important, it creates a rebutable presumption that if you possess the code and a printer, you intend to use it. In Colorado, HB 1144 cleared the House last week, and it's now running through the Senate. This one also criminalizes 3D printing firearms and gun components. They removed the part that would make owning the files for firearms illegal, but it's still a criminal act to share or sell the files. Thankfully, this bill is not criminalizing prop guns printed for art, costume, or theatrical use. Blasters are safe, not so much for the real thing. But we need to keep an eye on New York, which is pushing through a blocking technology mandate by way of executive budget process. This would require 3D printers to include a firearm blueprint detection algorithm. Adafruit is sounding the alarm on this one because the bill doesn't exempt open source firmware like Clipper or Marlin. And our friends in California are introducing AB 2047, a bill that would require every 3D printer sold in California to be equipped with a California DOJ certified firearm blueprint detection algorithm. The bill would ban the sale or transfer of any 3D printer not on their approved list by March 1st, 2029, and it would make it a misdemeanor to knowingly disable or circumvent the blocking software. That software, as we know, does not yet exist, and it would be tantamount to state mandated surveillance of your power tools. I think we can all agree that trying to prevent gun violence is a noble cause, but we can't let lawmakers throw the baby out with the bathwater. Any policy that criminalizes a 3D printer for everyone, just because a few bad guys also have them, is going to be bad for the whole industry. There's a lot of chatter on the internet about this. If you want one location to track all these bills, go to don'tban3dprinters.com. The site is run by the organizer of the Japanese Rip Rap Festival, and he has the site in English, Spanish, Chinese, and Japanese, so more people can be informed. But I'm curious what you think. Should our governments regulate what we can and cannot 3D print? Leave a comment. If all this politics is making you want to move to a little cabin in the woods, you aren't alone. You might have seen the 3D printed Frod house going viral on X again this week. It's actually a 3-year-old video, but clearly the internet needed some wholesome content right about now. It turns out whether it's 2023 or 2026, people just want to see a frog living in a custom printed mansion with an infinity pool. It's a good reminder that despite all the red tape, we're still just nerds trying to make cool stuff for our backyard friends. Next up, Bambu versus Labubu. Bambu Lab's MakerWorld website is taking some heat for IP infringement, which is really ironic because they also recently launched a program to help designers combat the same kind of IP infringement. The heart of the battle is safe harbor protection. Usually these laws shield a platform like MakerWorld from the actions of its users. So if someone uploads a Disney character, Disney typically goes after the uploader or sends a takedown notice to the site. The website will stay in the clear because it's a neutral party and they aren't directly benefiting from the infringement. But PopMart, a massive Chinese toy company behind Labubu, is not buying it. They're arguing that Labubu is so famous that Bambu Lab had to know what was happening. They're essentially claiming that Bambu Lab benefited by using all of these trending models to drive traffic and sell more printers. We're currently in a bit of a holding pattern right now. We hear that Bambu Lab is seeking a settlement to avoid a ruling that could shake up how file sharing sites run their business. If they don't reach a deal, the official court date is set for April 2nd, and we'll be watching that one closely. Speaking of Bambu, you might have noticed that their flagship X1 Carbon is no longer listed for sale on the official website. If you click the Buy Now button, you are redirected to a list of resellers like Micro Center or Best Buy, who also seem to be out of stock. I asked my rep about it, and he insisted that machines are still out there. Now, does this mean that there's an X2 Carbon on the horizon? I wouldn't be surprised because we have the P2S, which is a less expensive machine, and the whole H2 lineup, which is considerably more. The X1C is considered ancient in printer years, so I think a refresh might be coming. But that didn't stop John from proper printing. He recently posted a video where he stripped an X1C down to the frame and rebuilt it to withstand a 90°C chamber temp and a good 450 on the nozzle. It was literally cooking. You'll want to watch this one. The print he made was unexpected. John's handiwork is definitely in the don't try this at home category, but if you need some help 3D printing parts that are a little beyond your printer's capability, or if you don't have a printer at all, then you're going to want to check out today's sponsor, PCBWay. PCBWay offers professional 3D printing in a huge range of materials and technologies, from high detail resin to strong engineering plastics. And if your project grows beyond 3D printing, they also manufacture custom PCBs, CNC machine parts, and sheet metal. So you can go from prototype to real product all in one place. Just upload your files, choose your materials, and the team takes care of the rest. Head over to PCBWay.com and start building something awesome. If you want to check them out, the link is in the description below. Thanks, PCBWay. And now our print fail of the week. Well, that's one way to handle a clog. Ow. Full Steam Designs, we feel your pain. 3D printing slipped out of containment and ended up in Kyle Hill's facility. Our favorite pop culture science educator found researchers from China who discovered a technique to holographically flash print all at once in resin. They used a rotating projector called Dish that cures a whole object in less than a second. The models are highly detailed at 12 microns, but also very tiny. They might have applications in biology, medicine, and engineering, rather than your next tabletop gaming session. So you've heard of HueForge, right? Well, what if you could paint with filament vertically? That's what we're seeing with a new fork of Snapmaker Orca called Full Spectrum. A couple people are starting to post the results, and it's very promising. But there might be some trouble ahead. While Ratdu has coded a working version into open source Snapmaker Orca for the U1, a Chinese patent from a company called Golden Feather just resurfaced. It turns out they actually filed for this exact interlayer grading technique years ago. But it's just on paper. We don't have any working software from these guys yet. It will be interesting to see how this affects major slicers like Bambu Studio or Prusa Slicer if they decide to implement these virtual colors in the future. And now a huge golden ticket congratulations to David Randolph. We were all a little sad when he bid farewell to Printed Solid and Prusa a month ago, leaving behind the legacy of Jesse Filament, which was named after his dog. But good news, he turned up just a few miles down the road at Cocoa Press. He's been tapped to lead the chocolate 3D printing startup to new, fabulously tasty heights. That's all the news for this week. I'm STL Denise, and I'll see you in the next one. Happy printing.